Hey everybody, welcome back to another Judgment commentary of Sword Art Online, but today we're going to be checking out Sword Art Online Alicization, War of Underworld. Or you could just call it Season 3 Part 2, because my word, that is a little bit lengthy. In any case, we're going to be checking out the first 4 episodes of War of Underworld today, because last time we finished off the first part of Alicization, and, well, those episodes, while not without their moments, had some roughness to them. Basically, Kirito and the gang faced off one final time against the Administrator with the help of Cardinal, and at first, didn't seem like things were going to go their way because, well, the Administrator revealed this big sword monster thing that she made using the souls of a bunch of innocent people, which was a terrifying concept, of course, and really just ended up fulfilling the idea of what this world was created to do, right? They wanted to create the perfect soldier, just a soulless machine made only for war. Well, she certainly did that. And at first it seemed like the thing was dang invincible until Yu-Gi-Oh turned into a sword. Yes, their backs were up against the wall, so they had no choice but to transform Yu-Gi-Oh into a sword to throw down with it, and they did manage to defeat it, although Yu-Gi-Oh didn't stand much of a chance against the Administrator and only managed to do a little bit of damage to her before being taken out himself. Yeah, he kind of merged with the memory crystal of Alice, as in, you know, the original Alice, and then was able to turn him into a sword, and then, yeah, they fought for a little bit, and it's kind of a weird visual, just a giant sword flying around attacking things, but it works. My hope was that Kirito would have wielded the sword and fought with it, but yes, I didn't think of that. But after losing Yu-Gi-Oh and after nearly losing Alice, Kirito had had enough. He decided he needed to go pro tag mode to face the Administrator, and he did manage to beat her in fairly epic fashion. Yeah, stabbed her right through the chest. And he even donned his original Sword Art Online getup very briefly. It wasn't really explained in the moment, but I did get some comments going more in depth about that. And that kind of leads into the roughness I was talking about, in that apparently many people have vouched for this, that in the source material there was a lot more substance going on, you know, in terms of explaining what was going on and even just talking about Kirito's thoughts and feelings on the matter that was just completely omitted from the anime. There was no time at all spent on that, which sucks. Apparently just in general, there was a lot of good detail about Kirito that was cut from Alicization, like that there's a reason that Kirito wasn't using a lot of his skills that he had attained from Sword Art Online and why he wasn't dual wielding like he's so good at. It's apparently because he was trying to distance himself from his previous identity in Sword Art Online. He didn't want to think about his past anymore, so he was trying to do things differently here. They did not explain that, like, at all. It just seems like he's not dual wielding for no reason in the anime, so great job there. But him finally giving in and using his old skills and donning the old outfit was just, you know, representative of how pushed to the limit he was. It's a shame they couldn't have gone more in depth about that, but, you know. Also, another thing that was not explained was how he was able to do that. It's part of the incarnation system that we heard a little bit about earlier in Alicization, but then they just never brought it up again. Yeah, it was that. It was incarnation. He was just feeling a lot of negative energy right there, and it allowed him to manifest that. But long story short, he used these powers to take out Administrator. She was defeated, but she was apparently going to try to escape into the real world. Somehow, even though she doesn't have a physical body to escape into, she was going to try to leave and go to the real world. Don't know how that was going to work. But that was thwarted by the little fat clown dude, Chudalkeen, I think was his name, something like that. He leapt up off the ground after he had seemingly been killed, but nope, he wasn't. He clung on, just leapt up onto her and started to kind of go to town a little bit. And then, well, he exploded and presumably took her out with him. But all was not well, because the ship that they were on, where, you know, this whole virtual world is being stored, it was attacked by a mysterious group that we don't know much about yet, and they were trying to shut down the power, and Or was it a power surge? Something like that. Sorry, I don't quite recall the details about this part very well, but either way, they were messing with stuff, and it may have just fried Kirito's brain. Very not good. So yeah, Alicization definitely suffered from a little bit of lack of substance in some places. They definitely tried. They worked in some good moments in there for sure, definitely, but could have done with a little bit more depth here and there, if you ask me. But whatever, now we can begin part 2. War of Underworld is its name. So what do I talk about first? I mean, well, few interesting things of note to talk about here, such as poor Kirito. Kirito is out of commission. He's left bound to a wheelchair. He can't fend for himself at all. Alice has to watch over him. It's quite the sad state poor Kirito is put into, and it all becomes a lot more sympathetic, especially when they explain how it actually happened. It wasn't that the power surge fried his brain like they initially described it. That's not what happened. It was because he was attacking himself at that moment, and we know that a person's perspective becomes actualized in this world, and the power surge just boosted those feelings and caused him to make himself brain dead, essentially. That he attacked his own image of himself and destroyed it, leaving nothing but a husk. Gives it all a lot more meaning and depth to his character, so good. They've actually added something more to him. I was afraid they might cut out something like that, but nope. It was there, right on display. And thankfully, because his brain wasn't fried and his Fluck Light wasn't just eviscerated by that, that means he can be saved. It's just a cloud that's over that part of his mind, and if Asuna can get back in there, maybe she can, reason with him. He can still hear things, he just can't maybe process them that well, but hopefully, if there's anybody who can reach out to him, it would be her. She has to be able to. Yes. And admittedly, I thought a lot of these episodes up until 4 were kind of exposition-y, maybe a little dull at times. Like, they kind of felt like they dragged a bit in some places, but then you hit 4, and it just kicked everything up like crazy, man. Like, I was actually starting to get interested, because, when they started revealing that there was more depth to the Dark Territory, and the war wasn't so one-sided, like there were actual, genuine people on the other side, that became way more interesting. There were actually good people there. Like, there were humans living in the Dark Territory. It wasn't just goblins and ogres and orcs and junk. They were humans, and not all these humans are evil, even though that's the role that they were designed to play. Some of them still desired peace. They didn't want more bloodshed. They wanted everything to just stop. They didn't want people to keep dying. They cared about their own people enough that they didn't want to see them go out there and get massacred. And of course, the only 2 kind souls in the Dark Territory that we've met so far got wiped out instantly because of a very hasty attempt at taking out the Emperor here. Vecta, however you want to translate that. A clever trick to try to go up to him with the knife, but unfortunately the guy is the sharpest human being around for some reason and saw clean through it. It's curious, he wouldn't know anything about this world or their customs or anything, so as far as he knew, this was genuinely just something they did, but... Or maybe he somehow did more homework on it than that, I don't know, but... Either way, he never fell for it from the start. When he said under whose orders, he meant under whose orders to attack me. He knew what was going on, somehow. That sucks. These 2 were cool people, and... You actually managed to make me hyped for a pro-tag moment of just some random guy living in the Dark Territories here? That's an achievement. I wanted to see that guy go up and deck him in the face. But no, he didn't get to, because he realized in there that this guy's mind is so messed up that malice cannot cut through it. He realized that attacking him with evil intent wasn't gonna do anything to him. His soul is untouchable. So that was a little heartbreaking. I liked those guys. They were cool, but I guess, you know, you had to set them up so you could knock them down to give it that punch that I needed. But still, this guy here, whatever, I forget his real name. I'm just calling him Vector is easier, I guess, but he is messed up, insanely so. I've mentioned it already, like twice now probably, that Sword Art Online keeps managing to make each new antagonist more twisted and creepy than the last. It's like Dragon Ball Z having to make each villain stronger, only in Sword Art Online you have to make each villain more crazy and depraved. Like, we already have a pretty decent picture of his backstory here, where, thanks Dad for giving your son the talk about souls and brains and things involving insects at a very young age. I'm sure he needed to hear that one. It's funny, I thought him about to crush that mantis head was, you know, the beginning of a psychopath journey, because it usually is. You know, you torture insects or small animals and then you work your way up. He didn't have to work his way up. He skipped every single step and went straight to ice pick through the ear. Yeah, the guy's a genuine maniac. He said he experimented with killing other people before and now, but he said he never experienced the same thing with the soul again. The only time he saw that was when he was a kid. So does that mean just the soul thing either didn't happen and he hallucinated that, or that it doesn't happen every time, or that he didn't kill anybody else in real life, but rather only killed them in games? But then that wouldn't be experimenting with it, because of course it wouldn't happen again in the game. You're not killing anybody. And may I say, the US government literally picked the worst possible candidate for this job. The worst possible human being they could have picked. The guy obsessed with eating souls. You send him in to get the tech that creates artificial souls. What a coincidence. Could have picked any other defense organization in the world to go, you know, covert operations on this. You picked the soul-eating murderer. Nice. Also, while we haven't seen him be very sexually motivated yet, like most of the other villains that we've seen, you know, they've been, you know, creepy weirdos, I refuse to believe he was not getting off on everything that just happened in that room, man. Choking her out, he definitely was. You can't tell me he wasn't, so yeah, he still fulfills the creepiness quota in that regard. I mean, it gave it away already when he said the "oh, your soul will taste sweet" thing. That made it perfectly clear. Also, he's tossing that line around when killing people in video games. I guess he realized he can't really get away with it as easily as an adult, you know, just going around killing people, eating their souls. So he just fulfills that by killing people in VR games. Yeah, Kirito, letting people make all those VR games might have been a mistake. He is without a doubt one of the most demented maniacs that we've seen yet. You know, he committed a very heinous, soulless thing so early on in his life and just has not gotten better since then. I don't know what happened to him after that, you know? I mean, you'd think he'd be sent off to some psychiatric facility, but I'm sure he can clearly pretend to not be insane, so maybe that's how he got out of that one. So yeah, in terms of highlights of these 4 episodes, Kirito being this way is unfortunate. It hurts to have to see him be left out of the action, but it is a new thing. Kirito's always been front and center for this whole freaking show, and now he's having to sit on the sidelines. That is new. Then there was Alice getting some cool moments. She had some great lines facing off against the goblin horde. She's determined to fight for the people that Kirito and Yu-Gi-Oh sacrificed themselves to save. And I can get behind that. And now we've got the Dark Territory, being a lot more nuanced than I expected. Having some genuinely cool people in there who got wiped out instantaneously by the most insane scumbag that this show has given us yet. So all in all, not the worst set of 4 we've gotten. Definitely had some things worth pointing out, some highlights to it. I mean, I was hesitant. I was like, I don't know where this is going, but with this as a stepping stone, maybe things will be interesting. Maybe Alicization, War of Underworld can actually bring some cool things to the table. Even the first part of Alicization definitely had its key emotional moments to it. I think they kind of botched the ending of Alicization Part 1 a little bit, but otherwise, they actually managed it pretty well. And maybe a little bit of a rocky start for War of Underworld, but Episode 4 drove the point home. So anyway, I've been recording for nearly 2 hours and 10 minutes now. I'm gonna have to cut a lot of this out, but for now, that's it, guys. Thank you for watching. Make sure to leave a like and a comment if you enjoyed. Subscribe to be updated on more. That would be great. Next time, we check out the next set of 4. Interestingly, there's only 12 in War of Underworld Part 1 anyway, but then there's Part 2. There's a War of Underworld Part 2, which is Season 3, Part 3. Alicization has the most in it out of any of the arcs, so you would hope that this would end up being the most fleshed out and nuanced of the entire series, and so far there's potential here. But it'll be 5 through 8, and then we'll do 9 through 12, and then we can head right in for Part 3, which I think is actually the last of what they've made of Sword Art Online, so man, the idea of catching up and finishing what's there of Sword Art Online kind of scares me, just because I've been reacting to Sword Art Online for 2 years now, probably. But yeah, that was it. Hope you guys had fun. I had something resembling fun. You can call that traumatizing experience that was episode 4 fun. Then yeah. But like I said, that is it, guys. Hope to catch you next time, but till then, I will see you guys all later.